Okay, so we're going to start our first lecture over the introduction to anatomy and physiology. You should have your interactive notebook pages all glued in or taped in. And we're going to be starting with that very first page, organization of the body. Okay? Alright, so the lesson we're going to define what anatomy and physiology is. And how it affects us. So, most of this should be reviewed for all of you. You should have all seen this, whether it be health science or diagnostics or medical therapeutics. Okay? So, anatomy. Define anatomy. Anatomy is the study of the organism or the body structures in their location. So, again, anatomy is a study of the structure. Okay? So again, anatomy is the study of the body structure. Alright? So this isn't on your interactive notebook, but it's something that you can put on the side. Now, physiology, on the other hand, is the study of the function of each of those body parts. Okay? So anatomy is the study of the structure. Physiology is the study of the function. Okay? So, for instance, here are some propositions for you. What is the purpose of the tongue? Would that be considered anatomy? Or would that be considered physiology? Give you a second to think about it. Is the purpose of the tongue, is that a structural question? Or is that a function question? If you thought function, you are correct. That is physiology. Okay, now let's try another one. Where are phalanges located? Again, location of the phalanges. Is that a structural question or a function question? If you think structural, yes, that is correct. That is anatomy. Where are the location? Where is the structure? Okay. Looking at the next one, where is the eardrum located? Again, it's asking for a specific location. Is that structure or function? It's not function, so that would be anatomy again. How do the eyes communicate what you see to the brain? Okay, so this one's asking how eyes communicate. Is that a structural question or a function question? How do eyes communicate? Is that a structure or a function? It is a function question, so that would be a physiology. Again, so that's the reason why we study anatomy and physiology together. We study the structures and their functions at the same time. Okay? Alright, so we are going to skip on, I believe, slide 32 here. Let me get past all this. This is stuff that you should have covered in biology. We're really not going to cover it again. We're skipping on to slide number 32. So if you're following along, go ahead and go to slide 32. Alright, so we're going to start looking at our next page in our first page in our interactive notebook, and the 4 levels of organization in a multicellular organism. Okay? So, every living organism begins with a cell. Okay? Cell. Cells are the basic living unit of an organism. I really thought I had a chart for this. Okay, so this is what I was looking for. Hierarchy of structural organization. So, there are 4 levels that we're going to talk about for multicellular organisms, and they all start with cells. Okay? In the beginning, atoms turn into molecules. Molecules turn into organelles. Organelles group together, create cells. Okay? Cells together create tissues. Tissues together create organs. Organs combined together create organ systems. And organ systems combined together create organisms. Okay? So, the 4 that you should have listed on your sheet is cells, tissues, organs, and then finally organ systems. Okay? Now, we're going to define each of those. Okay. So, the cell, again, is the basic structural unit. It is the basic unit for structure and function. As you can see down here, cells carry out lots of different functions, and we have trillions of them within our body. Move on to the next slide here. Now, tissues. Tissues, a group of tissues come together to form a common purpose. For instance, these are the 4 types of tissues. We're going to break those down in just a moment, so don't get too... Alright, and then I'm going to pass by this because we're going to talk about this in a minute. The organs, again, groups of organs together work together for a special function. So, the heart, the blood vessels, the lungs all work together. Well, heart, blood vessels work together to create functions, which again leads us to our next point of organ systems. When all these separate organs work together, they create organ systems. So a group of different organs working together in a specialized function. So as you can tell, specialized function is a key word here. So, again, cells are the basic unit for structure and function. Groups of cells together combine to make tissues which perform single functions. Tissues combined together create organs with a specialized function. And then organs combined together in groups work together to perform a special function. That is all you should have for each one of those for number 1. Okay? Alright, so as far as number 2, we pretty much will answer that one. What is cell specialization? We talked about that in the last thing. Cells function, they are the basic structure and function. And what was that special word that we used for organ systems, organs, and tissues? They were specialized. So, cell specialization are cells that have a specific function to carry out. And there are millions of them within our bodies. Okay. Let's look at number 3. Describe the level of specialization in cells of the human body. Well, there's a million different ways you could say that, but the cells of the human body are very highly specialized. Like I said again, hitting that point home. Every single cell within our body has a specific function. And then when those cells come together, they combine to create tissues, which have a very specific function. And when those tissues come together, they create an organ that has a very defined function. And when those organs come together, they create an organ system that has a very defined function. Awesome! Looking at number 4. What is the advantage of cell specialization? I believe we've kind of answered that already. Cells are specialized to carry out that function, and to make sure that they carry it out very well in a very proficient manner. So I pulled this slide up because I wanted to let you see just a minimalized version here of some of the functions that cells have. For instance, taking in food and oxygen, producing heat and energy, eliminating waste, reproducing to create new cells. Okay? See if you can think of another function and jot that down there. While you do that, I'm going to scroll on to our next slide. Alright. Fix my screen here so you can see everything. Alright. So again, we're moving on to the next page of our interactive notebook, which is Introduction to Tissues. So again, we started with a cell that has a specialized function, and when those cells came together, they formed tissues, and these tissues together have a very specialized function as well. There are 4 major types of tissues that we are going to discuss, and the first one that we're going to talk about is epithelial tissue. Okay, and its function is it covers the interior and exterior body surfaces. Okay, it is bound tightly together to provide a protective barrier. So as you can see here, they get stuck together. Okay. Where is epithelial tissues found? Epithelial tissues will be found in your blood vessels, lining the respiratory system, linings of the digestive system, or the outer covering of your skin. Okay. 4 types of tissue. First one is epithelial. Next type of tissue that we're going to talk about is connective. Connective tissue provides support for the body and connects its parts, holds our organs in place in our body cavities. Okay. As you can see down here, we have several different types of connective tissue. We have the loose connective, fibrous connective, adipose, cartilage, bone, and blood can also be considered a connective tissue. Your connective tissues are found, obviously, in your bones, your cartilage, your tendons, your ligaments, fat, blood, and lymph. Alright, so our third type of tissue is called muscle tissue. And muscle tissue is composed of cells that contract, okay, and enables our body to move, okay. Obviously, there's 3 different types of muscle tissue. We have our cardiac muscle, we have our skeletal muscle, and then we have what's called smooth muscle, okay. Where are these muscles found? Obviously, we just defined that right there for us, okay. We've got them in the heart, our blood vessels, arteries and veins. We have them attached to our bones, which enable us to move. And then we find our smooth muscle in our organs, such as of our digestive system. Okay. And then our fourth and final tissue that we have is called nervous tissue. Okay. Again, my screen here is a little out of whack. There we go. Nervous tissue. Okay. Nervous tissue receives and transmits